Welcome back to the program. Race 2 on the card is the 1,000-metre dash. We've got a newcomer here called Vigorous Spirit, a 5-year-old who's on debut for the Manfred Man stable. The field headed by Strathallan, drawn gate 5, Karis Teeton, Tony Millard combination. Flying Force, Lightning Steed. Planet Nicoli comes to Happy Valley for the first time, as does Lightning Treasure and Very Sweet Orange, who has blinkers on for the first time. Tom's Dragon's drawn well in 2, Striking Mr. C, and Fire and Gold coming back from the mile at the Valley to 1,000 metres. Now, Chunfar, Flying Force, Very Sweet Orange have both been at Chunfar recently, and Very Sweet Orange did win a trial up there with blinkers on. Here's the speed map. Should be some good tempo. We know Strathallan can roll forward. He did so in a recent trial at Happy Valley. The interesting newcomer there is the 5-year-old Vigorous Spirit, who has shown a little bit of pace in his trials. Very Rich Man likes to go forward. We know that Lightning Steed can race forward, and Striking Mr. C can also race handy, so could be plenty of pace here in this 1,000-metre dash.
First one is Very Rich Man. We know he's got plenty of pace. He's one that will go forward from his wide barrier. Has done in most starts at Happy Valley, and he's going nice enough down the back straight. And Berto Rispoli will team up with Peter Ho there. He looks quite forward. I thought this was a good piece as well from Flying Force. Alexi Vidal will take them out on race day. He might get the race run to suit too. I know he's drawn wide, but he looks nice here in the mornings and is going very fluently, and he's gone well since he's been with Danny Shum. And Planet Nicoli only had the one start. He's come out of that run. He's improved, though, I think, from it. Another one that's drawn wide, so you might find it tricky from the draw, but he has improved from his debut run.
All right, let's start off. We'll start towards the bottom with Tom's Dragon, who finished second last start behind Invincible Missile, who looks a likely enough type. I thought this was a decent effort. He's gone back to the trials. It was a much improved effort from him on this occasion, Tom's Dragon. Now, it seems like he goes to the race and then he goes back and has a trial, so that seems to be the usual pattern with him. I don't think he's the most straightforward horse. They have to stick him into the gates with a blindfold, so he's clearly got a few quirks, but I thought this was much improved from him last time out. And he recently trialled around Sharton on the dirt, and he trialled nicely. He led and he was only headed the last 50 metres, so he's clearly a horse that's got plenty of quirks, and John Size seems to like sending him back to the trials after the races.
Yeah, he's got barrier 2, so I think that he should get a really good run in transit anyway.
Yeah, I would have thought so. Let's move on to Multimax. We know him fairly well. He's been around for quite a few seasons now. The old timer, a 7-year-old, starts 62. He's in good form and he's got a claim.
Yeah, and look, he's an interesting horse here, Multimax, because he has got that claim, but he's got a lot of pace as well. He's only won the once over the 1,000 metres. I've seen more of as a 1,200-metre horse. And with all that pace around him, I'm just going to watch him go around.
I think forgive his last run, there was nothing wrong with it. He just ended up being caught 3 wide with no cover, so that didn't help him. But still, to his credit, he boxed on well enough.
Victor Wong's had 5 rides for Tony Cruz this season, for 2 wins, a second and a third. Now, Striking Mr. C and Planet Nicoli, they actually bumped each other out of the gates in this race we're looking at here. And Striking Mr. C actually closed off. In the past, we've seen him lead and weaken out. We know he's got some breathing issues. Planet Nicoli, still a work in progress.
This was the race that was won by Glenelly Generals. He's got the blinkers coming off this time, Striking Mr. C. I didn't mind his run. Just before we rolled that footage in as well, Planet Nicoli, I think he had the odd excuse last time out because he did stumble quite noticeably at the 350, and then he sort of battled the last furlong or so, and he did pull up lame, so I think he had an excuse last time.
Yeah, they looked at him after the race, and the vet thought he was lame, but he wasn't declared lame, but the next morning he was, so there was an issue there.
Yeah, he's just drawn wide. That's Planet Nicoli. That's why I didn't like him. And Striking Mr. C, as you said, he's a roarer, so 1,000 metres is probably his go.
Yeah, we'll move to Strathallan now. He's been back to the trials. He hasn't raced since the 4th of November, but he's done very little wrong from 5 starts.
Yeah, and he's coming here to Happy Valley as well for the first time, and this is his trial. I thought it was a really good trial here because the horse on the outside, Serafino, is a lot higher rated than he is. He's a 72 rated horse. Strathallan's 58 rated, and he ran away from him. He's put on 30 pounds, but he looks good for it. I think he's going to be tough to beat. I've got him on top.
Off the back of that trial, I've put him on top because he seemed to be doing it easy enough. Looked like he's enjoying his work. His ears were pricked, and yeah, I like that effort there at the trials.
Now, Vigorous Spirit, you mentioned in the speed map, Tom, he has got a little bit of toe. He's had a 4th and a 2nd from his 2 trials. This is over 800 metres, this trial.
Yeah, they've had a few issues with him. He's had a right front flex, a tendon injury. He had 2 trials in Australia. He'd ran 2nd at Cranbourne, and he'd run and won a trial at Stony Creek, and did that quite nicely, but they've clearly had a few issues with him because he's now a 5-year-old halfway through the season.
Yeah, 1,090 pounds, barrier 8. I'm happy just to see him go around in this one.
Been to the Stony Creek races before, Paul?
I have, actually,
So
and Hanging Rock as well.
It's a good day out. There's no doubt about that. Selections, race 2, 1,000 metres.
Yeah, Strathallan for me, I think he can be just... he doesn't have to lead this horse. There is a lot of pace in it, but he has got the pace to lead if they want. So I've got him on top to beat Tom's Dragon. Should get a nice run just in behind. A Flying Force, if they do overcook it in front, I think he's the one that can be running on from the back. And then a Lightning Steed there in fourth. Another one that's been running pretty well recently, and the blinkers will come off him. He's got barrier 1. 1, 10, 3 and 4, I'd go exotics.
Strathallan on the top for me, like the way he won that trial at Happy Valley with his ears pricked. He seemed to do it comfortably enough, so he's on top for me. To beat Lightning Steed, blinkers coming off. Gate 1, Zach Pert and Casper found. He was a bit keen in the first half of the race last time out. Tom's Dragon goes in, and another chance for Mr. Striking Seat. 1, 4, 10 and 11. Play the exotics there with Strathallan.
All right, I'll go with Tom's Dragon. I think well-placed, well-weighted, well-gated for me in race 2.